When you go out shopping and visit a few stores, have you ever noticed they have similar styles? Or watched runway shows of famous designers and wondered how designers seem to arrive at the same conclusion every season? Is it some sort of coincidence, or is it some kind of shared creative madness? Somewhere in the world, there are trend forecasting experts who develop and push the idea of trends in the form of silhouette, color, and texture. Trends do not occur by chance, but instead the product of careful calculation. Due to its ever-evolving nature, it is important for you as the designer to know which trends are vital to keep in mind. It is important to understand what trends are and how much of an impact they can have on the success of a fashion label. Because the fashion industry is ever-changing, doing research is a requirement for someone in the fashion industry because you must be aware of changing trends. If you can get a good handle on what is going to sell in the coming season, you have gotten one step closer to building your brand. Hi designers, I hope you are doing well and enjoying the module 2 of your fashion design course so far. Well done for getting this far. Are you ready to explore the fabulous world of fashion with me? For module 1, our quote was all about not giving up. Do you remember? Now we need a new quote for module 2, so I chose this one by Coco Chanel. And it says, "In order to be irreplaceable, one must always be different." People think it is so difficult to be different, but no one can beat you at being you. To be different means to be yourself. In this module, we are going to explore and celebrate who you are as a designer. Today's objectives are to define the term trend and distinguish between trends and fads. We will look at how trend starts and identify the different stages of the trend cycle. This is quite interesting. We will end the lesson by exploring the different core fashion trends in the hopes to inspire all of you to design for the future. Welcome to lesson 2 of module 2 titled Trending. Do you consider yourself a trendsetter? Are you a person who follows trends, or do you create your own style? I find myself to be very particular when it comes to style and trends and would much rather follow my own guidance than that of current trends. Perhaps in a strange way I can call myself a trendsetter. But that is what fashion is all about. With that said, trend forecasting and researching trends is one of my favorite areas of research in fashion design, so I really hope you enjoy it too, feel inspired, and find the value in it. In the world of fashion, styles always seem to be changing. A deeper understanding of the differences between trends and fads will enable you to put an end to the fashion guessing game. What is a trend? Firstly, trends have staying power. As we have seen in our Hooked on History lesson, trends have a lasting impact, depth, and meaning. A trend is the general direction in which something is developing or changing. The biggest difference between a trend and a fad is that trends have a much longer lifespan than fads and can continue to stay fashionable for years or even decades. A fad can be summed up in one word, and that word is short-lived. Unlike trends that will always make a comeback, fads do not have staying power. Typically, fads last for a period of one season, but they can also last less than a couple of weeks. Fads are novelty-driven fashion choices, often unpredictable, that a large number of people are attracted to for a very short period of time. Fads often fade as quickly as it appeared. An easy way to remember this: fads fade. Let's look at some trend examples. Popular in the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, the bootleg, flared, or wide leg pants have made a return to the fashion world of today. Some people love this trend and some people think it is terrible. To be honest with you, I never ditched them in the first place. I only own flared pants. Bomber jackets and athletic coats became popular in 1991. This trend was often associated with the growing popularity of hip-hop music. Today, bomber jackets are a key style of athleisure wear. Jumpsuits or overalls have gone in and out of style since the 70s and have recently made a comeback since becoming popular in the 90s. Now for some fad examples. Chains, wallet chains, or chain belts, like we see in the image, try to combine functionality with a piece of jewelry. This did not last very long. The popularity of the mood ring spread quickly, but also faded just as quickly. As with every fashion fad, early adopters are already growing bored of the ripped, frayed, and distressed jeans, fueling demand for weird and wonderful alternatives. Let's play Find the Fad. Is it the platform shoes, collar pops, or crop tops? It is the infamous collar pop. Platform shoes and crop tops were popular trends about 20 years ago, and we also see them returning to the streets today. In the past, fashion trends started and evolved strictly through the method of fashion magazines to the consumer, and it stayed like this for a very long time. Since we have all the information ever needed at our fingertips thanks to the internet, things have changed a little bit. Many of the current fashion trends are inspired by the looks that the designers sent down the runway each season during New York, Milan, and Paris Fashion Week. Both consumers and big retailers wait in anticipation for these designs to replicate them. There is no question about it. Celebrities are one of the biggest driving forces in trend creation. Due to their massive fan base, celebrities have a bigger reach than even the latest fashion magazines. Many celebrities like Madonna, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kim Kardashian have been known as trendsetters and style icons for years. The public follows their every move and sees them as a source of trend-setting information that people admire and turn to for inspiration and advice. I am sure you yourself have a style icon. If yes, please share who yours is. My style icons are Vanessa Hudgens and the Olsen twins. Over the years, fashion bloggers have proven to play an important role in the success of trends due to their ability to share trends with a huge audience while giving them styling tips. The term street style refers to looks people wear in their everyday life that make an impact and inspire others. Big retailers and fashion designers are often inspired by street style, incorporating it into their new collections. People are easily inspired by street style for two main reasons. One, the looks are easier to recreate, and two, because these trends are created by everyday people, others are more inclined to follow the trends because they believe it is something that they can pull off. The way trends develop, like the ones discussed in the previous slides, all come down to two processes which we call the trend trickles, and it consists of the trickle-down and trickle-up effect. The trickle-down fashion trends originate from the elite, like famous fashion designers, and trickles down to the masses. Trickle-up fashion trends are born among the masses and on the streets, and inspire designers. I knew you wanted me to show you some trickle-up examples, so here we go. The t-shirt, especially slogan t-shirts. The punk and grunge style and military-inspired clothing are all styles that were born on the street by the people that eventually trickled its way up to designers and big retailers who were inspired by the masses. Did you know? Denim jeans were created in the 18th century, originally manufactured as workwear due to its strength and durability. During the 1950s, jeans became a fashion statement. As a symbol of youth and rebellion against the status quo, jeans became a part of the rebel image. The wearing of jeans eventually gained acceptance by mainstream society. Now, almost every single person owns at least one pair of jeans. Now that we know the difference between a trend and a fad, we can move on and look at the very important trend cycle. We as consumers are exposed to new styles created by fashion designers each season. Some styles are rejected immediately, but others are accepted for a time as demonstrated by consumers buying and wearing them. The way fashion changes are described as a fashion cycle, usually depicted as a bell-shaped curve encompassing 5 stages: introduction, rise in popularity, peak of popularity, decline in popularity, and rejection. This cycle can reflect the acceptance of a single style from a designer or a general style such as the shirt dress. To understand the cycle a little bit better, we are going to look at each stage of the fashion cycle in more detail. First, we have the introduction of style. After doing your research, generating ideas, and turning your ideas into a product, the designer offers it to the public. These new designs are created by changing elements such as line, shape, color, texture, and fabric, while making sure that they are in harmony with each other. The introduction phase only implies the newness of the style. The next stage is the increase in popularity of your design or style. If your design is purchased, worn, and seen by many, it may attract the attention of the public. During this stage, big retailers often copy and modify a popular style to suit the needs and price range of their own customers. This often means less detail and cheaper fabric used to recreate the design. How do consumers adopt a trend, you ask? Well, there are 4 ways, and these are: knowledge. We are exposed to the existence of the trends or the fads, and we gain an understanding of what it is. Persuasion. We form an attitude towards the trend or the fad. Decisions. We engage in activity that leads to a choice to adopt or reject the fad or the trend. And lastly, confirmation. We seek reinforcement for the fad or the trend. Decisions made may be reversed if given conflicting messages by others who have not adopted the trend or the fad. Back to our trend cycle. If a design is in great demand, the design has reached the peak of popularity in the fashion cycle. This design is now considered mainstream fashion. Again, we see a lot of adaptations and knockoffs of your design. Eventually, after the design has become mainstream, fashion-conscious people look for something fresh and new. Consumers will still wear the style, but most are not willing to buy them at the regular price. Retailers and designers put these declining in popularity styles on sale, hoping to make room and enough money for new designs and styles. In the last stage of the fashion cycle, some consumers have already turned to new looks, thus beginning a new cycle. The rejection of a style just because it is out of fashion is often referred to as consumer undesirability. So, let's say that you have designed this dress and it is in the shops. You can see your design on the street, but you do not see this reflected in your sales. Where in the fashion cycle will you place this design? This will be in the decline stage of the cycle. People are still wearing your design, but not really buying it anymore. To avoid losing a lot of money and sitting with a lot of stock, it would be a good idea to reduce the price of your design. On that note, let's look at the difference between design adaptations and knockoffs. Adaptations are designs that have all the dominant features of the design that was used as inspiration, but do not claim to be exact copies. Modifications have been made, but distinguishing features like style lines, fabrication, and shape may be retained in the adaptation. Please refer to the image. When looking at the design adaptation, at first, you can't really see any differences. The design on the left is a coat from Celine's Fall 2013 collection, inspired by Jeffrey Bean's design from 2004. Celine's version has slits on the side, functioning more like a cape, allowing the wearer's arms to pop out. The length, color, and texture of the two garments are also very different, making this an adaptation of Bean's design and not an exact copy. Knockoffs are blatant design theft and an exact replica of the design that was used as inspiration. Let's quickly discuss the examples. Zara, the design on the right, copied a look from Celine's pre-fall 2013 collection, and the silhouette, materials, colors, and even the styling of the design appeared to be an exact replica. Unfortunately, designer copyright is a long and thorny issue. It is almost impossible to fairly determine whether a resemblance in design was an adaptation, theft, or a coincidence. It is often said that everything comes back into style eventually, and if you are lucky to live long enough, you will probably see the trend cycle back into fashion a few times. There is a lot of debate about how long this cycle of nostalgia runs. Some say it is a 40-year cycle, and some say it is a 20-year cycle. The most recurring movement is referred to as the 20-year rule. This rule expresses the concept that something popular now will be popular again in about 20 years. Fashion is not an exact science, and the precise introduction and increase of a trend can be difficult to pinpoint. But this example I am going to show you identified the peak of trends in their respective era, and sure enough, they have returned in full force almost exactly 20 years later. The early 90s was all about grunge. Around 1992, staples like Doc Martens and flannel shirts hit the mainstream. Baby doll dresses were also a must-have for women. Almost like clockwork, 2013 saw all three of these iconic 90s fashions pop back into style. As the grunge style began to fade, some of the more striking looks from the 70s staged a revival, like platforms and bell-bottoms. By the mid-90s, everyone was wearing them, from the Spice Girls to teens. Fast forward another 20 years, platforms, bell-bottoms, and wide-leg pants began to creep back into fashion. Crop tops and fringe also appeared back on the fashion scene. What was cool in the 70s became hot in the 90s and is now being reimagined yet again for today. The speed with which cultures evolve is growing ever faster, but for now it seems that the 20-year cycle seems to be holding steady. So, what does this tell us about the near future? Well, if the trends that dominated the early 2000s reveal anything, it is that we will soon say goodbye to the high-waisted, wide-leg pants and whimsical tops, and hello to the low-rise jeans and boob-tube tops. Can you see this happening? Have you seen the introduction of early 2000s styles in the shops? Just for fun, and because we are talking about the 20-year rule, let's take a look at what the celebrities wore in the early 2000s. Maybe we will see this again soon. Please let me know whether or not you will be happy to see these looks on the street again. First, there is a lot to unpack here, but let's take a look. Here we have Gwen Stefani, who rocked boxers peeking out of low-rise jeans, trucker hats, and a nameplate belt all in one look for a red carpet. And believe me, all the cool girls wanted to copy her. Then we have Britney, who embraced color coordination to the max in a matching pale pink hat, ruffled dress, and knee-high boots. It is a little bit embarrassing, but I was a fan of the dress and skirt over pants look. And Paris Hilton emerged on the scene. She brought with her the shipwrecked asymmetrical skirt or handkerchief skirt, crop tops, and an abundance of pink. I was going to ask you which one you liked the most, but let's flip the script. Which outfit do you like the least? Did you know that colors can make us feel all kinds of feelings? In the next lesson, we are going to explore color's influence on our psyche and how we can use color to enhance our designs. If you like color, you will enjoy this lesson celebrating color and design. Like I mentioned in the intro of the lesson, fashion forecasters develop trends that designers and big retailers follow. We are going to look at these core trends now. Fashion trend forecasting is the prediction of behavior, mood, and buying habits at a particular time. Trend forecasters look at the demographic and the psychographic of society to determine the direction of trends. Who knows what the demographic of a consumer is? It is the age, geography, gender, race, and income of the consumer. In previous years, looking at the demographic was enough to determine trends, but nowadays, it is no longer just looking at the demographic of your market or consumer, but also looking at the psychographic of the consumer. This includes how, what, and how often they buy, based on their culture and beliefs, mood, and lifestyle. These trend forecasters often work 1 to 2 years ahead in the future. Designers are forced into a balancing act when it comes to trends, releasing new styles at the pace of the fashion calendar, while keeping their brand looking fresh between design, production, sales, and creating content. The image is an example of a fashion calendar. If you look at the design development section, the green section, you will notice that in 2014, you are already designing for spring 2015. This design phase takes about 3 months. Production takes about 6 months, which means the designs will only be in store in Jan. By this time, you are already working on and designing your next collection, which in this example is your fall collection. Because lead time from design to production in store takes so long, you have to design with trends of the future. If you design a style that is popular now, after 6 months of production, when it eventually reached the store, the style might already be in the declining in popularity or rejection phase of the trend cycle, which means you have wasted a lot of time, resources, and money on a design that will not sell because there is no interest. This is why we as designers design a year ahead. We design for the future consumer. This means when your design is in store, it will be what people want to wear. If you look at the bigger picture, there are 3 core fashion trends that rule them all, and these are shape, texture, and color. Do these core trends seem familiar to you? Yes, these form part of your elements of design. There are usually many different categories underneath each for every season, but trend forecasters provide early concepts for style, material, and color. You as a designer can thus choose which category underneath each core trend reflects your style the most. You can even combine different trends. Let's look at some examples of core trends developed by trend forecasters to help designers create relevant and trendy designs. First, we have shape or silhouette. Often trend forecasting companies will highlight what the key silhouette will be for the next season. This is an example of a key silhouette report, and it gives us a lot of valuable information like design details, texture, and pattern tips you can incorporate into your designs. Color expert trends like Pantone define the hues of the moment and the dominant colors are established. These forecasters try to capture what is going on in the society. In this example, it is predicted that camel tones will be the color of the season. This is actually an example of a 2019 trend forecasting report, and we did see quite a lot of camel, which means this trend forecasting company hit the nail on the head. The other core trend is texture. This is an example of a trend report of surface and fabric prediction. So in this example, denim jackets will be replaced by woven or suede fabrics. There are many resources to help you when it comes to designing with trends, like WGSN, TrendStop, Color Hive, Trend Tablet, Fashion Snoops, and We Connect Fashion. I suggest you go and explore these online sources. Please keep in mind that some of these, like WGSN, are not free. Trend reports are very special and valuable, so if you want to be sure to be trending, you have to spend some money to make money. WGSN is one of the biggest and best trend forecasting companies, so if you are going to do one thing today, please go follow them on social media. They often share amazing trend and style tips. Don't be demotivated if you can't access trend reports on some of these sites. You can also do your own research. Here is how you can conduct your own trend research, make predictions, and stay up to date. Do research on past, current, and future styles. Also study your target market. What do they like? How often do they shop? Do they even like trendy clothes, or do they prefer classic pieces? Read fashion magazines. Utilize online sources. Attend professional events like fashion shows. Knowledge of new inventions like technology. Maybe this can influence your design. Monitor trends on social media. And visit local stores. Yes, shopping is part of your job as a designer. It is for research purposes. And also it's fun. As a designer, it is up to you to decide whether you want to design from trends or not. Designing with trends in mind can assist you in creating pieces that will sell well as long as the trend is in demand. Sometimes this risk can show incredible growth. On the other hand, if you are more interested in making pieces that will always be desired, steer clear of trends and rather design staples. Many sustainable designers choose this way of designing as it reduces waste and minimizes the environmental impact of the clothes. By exploring who your ideal customer is, you will be better prepared to make the right decision. When trends from the past reappear, they suddenly strike us as contemporary options. This means that fashion is an ever-evolving organism that seeks to improve the past while keeping an eye on the future. Although fast-paced and ever-evolving, the amazing thing about the fashion industry is that everything has the chance at earning its 20 minutes of fame. For your trending challenge, I want you to conduct a little bit of research and try to figure out what will be the next big fashion trend. Please design a dress that will be in fashion next year, and in your description, please tell me why. I want to see these fresh designs, so please share it on our Facebook group and Instagram. Please also use the hashtag #SureFashionTrends. This is your time to stop following trends and become a trendsetter yourself. Go and get those 20 minutes of fame. Remember, you can always change your class date and time so that it is convenient for you. And should you feel the need, you can restart the course, or you can watch a lesson to reference back to at any time. Please don't forget to attend your classes, and remember you can do so from a variety of devices like your smartphone, laptop, or tablet. Remember, all the summary notes and slides are available in your toolkit and would be really worthwhile to keep as a resource at your fingertips beyond this course. But no sneak peeks. The lesson notes will only become available after you have attended your class or caught up with the lessons. These will also help you prepare for your first assignment. Talking about assignments, before you go off and design your new, fresh and trendy dress, please complete your lesson assignment. Another day, another lesson. You have just finished with your second lesson of Module 2. How are you guys finding Module 2 so far? I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Trend research is one of the areas of fashion that I like the most because 1, I find it super inspiring, and 2, it makes you a more relevant designer. So it's a win-win situation. Time spent on trend research is never a waste and always valuable, and time well spent. It is also super interesting. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope I see all of you later in the week for the next lesson, titled Color Me Impressed. Until then, as always, stay fashionable.